Hey, I had a conversation the other day with a dear old friend, and he was describing something that I remember he had told me before. It was being in a university setting. He was being taught by a very famous person, a very famous authoress of great agreed upon wisdom and profound impact on our culture. You know, a VIP, I suppose. And he said the usual things. He says, I know you're a brilliant person and famous and all the rest of it, but, and then he engaged with her in dissenting from something that she had said, and she then turned to him and she said, "Well, Mr. Merchant, you are a very courageous person, and thank you for speaking to me on the level that we should be speaking." We don't do that. As a rule, we defer. We most of us, not me, most of us defer to the consensus sages of our time. It's toxic. I guess it is one's perspective. I know that I've been here before, but it seems to be consensus that Fox or the New York Times change people. I keep hearing this notion in the media right now. They keep saying that, influencers, people are being changed, people are being turned into monsters or racists or whatever by what they are absorbing from the media, from their outside world, from their cadre of intellectuals. And I have never experienced life in this way. Never. For me, it seems maybe I'm just a freak, but I have these impulses, and then I'll read something by somebody and I'll go, "Oh no, yes, they agree with me." Never the other way around. I don't understand it. And I don't believe that other people believe it either. I think that they've just dropped into it because it's a shared groupthink, that's how the world operates. That people turn on the TV and turn a page and say, "My gosh, I'm now a different person. Now I'm going to vote and campaign for so-and-so against such and such." I guess it's what the politicians imagine they are doing. They imagine they are firing us up and we're walking away with epiphanies going, "Oh my God, I never thought that before. Let me go out and fight for civil rights." No, Martin Luther King tapped into something that was already there. Please. It becomes clear quite quickly under this way of thinking that Trump, as massively untalented as he is, made genuine, gentle, normal Americans Nazis. And you really believe this? I believe that Fox and the NYT are not that good. I have read more Times than I have watched Fox, far more, and they are not that good. They both create what you want to read or hear. You might be numb to this dynamic. I dislike both entities precisely because this is what they do. All they do, they do not dissent where dissension is significant. They do not employ original people with original thoughts. It is a clever field that might employ clever people, but their trick is this: they are ordinary with cred. If you read something by David Brooks that justifies your world view, you should know he sets out to do this. His prose is good, he seems clever, so you're clever. And please, as the NYT writes for narcissists, I know I live here. Peter Hitchens, brother of a clever Christian, said, if I ever begin to write to please my readers, I will stop writing. Suddenly, all the typewriters in Hollywood are void. You will take offense. You will say, there is no equivalence. And there's the rub. You believe you are superior to the Foxites, you NYTites. The New York Times tells you you are. You are not. You are as supremacist as they. There is a covenant, I understand. I did once believe Jack Kerouac had me all figured out. Then I turned 18. You have worked hard to be an NYTer. have student loans to be one. Work in New York, subscribe, read leisurely on Sunday. The poets have said. The last word on theatre and film. What does Ben or Frank say about this or about that? I know, dears, I've talked to you. I know your source is the New York Times. There is no dissent. There's no more dissent than the old Limbaugh listeners. The views, let's just say, are more lofty. Okay, a larger vocabulary. But the story of Hamas rape is as fetching as any election conspiracy, with as much actual evidence. It might be useful to say here that the communities of leisure among us, the idle rich, yes, but the media, academics, artists among us, all the people who do not do the essential work of caring for, feeding, building for, transporting, paving for, educating, and thus, and just generally keeping us clean, have evolved out of slave societies. Old attitudes and biases die hard, and they are not dead yet. In my opinion, Hitler didn't make Nazis, they made him. It is a predisposition, a starting point. The reverse is, I think, delusional. If you really have decided that undemocracy is imminent, that if in November the popular vote elects this fool, you must accept that you live in a society with enough lovers of what he is. Did they suddenly happen without cause? Or did you know they were there since middle school and you have always hated them? And Trump has just proved your point. I ask one question, and now you're asking me to vote for, telling me to vote for a man who supports mass murder. You are, he is. To protect me and us from another man that is going to lock us up, take away our choice, banish Muslims instead of straight up killing them, etc. Who made him such a marauder the first time round? Trump. The Constitution. It wrote the rules for creating Supreme Court justices, his immunities. He was in office because of the Electoral College in the first place. Democracy is about persuasion. You have done no more persuading than Fox or the NYT. You are doing exactly what they do, demonizing or agreeing with. That's all. That's the dynamic. Dynamic. No more, no less. It is your brand. You cannot see straight. Remember, you are asking me to vote for a man who supports genocide and ask me to disregard that. Good to know. I don't live in your world or share your values. I don't read or like the New York Times, nor the Atlantic, nor the New Yorker. I'm not stunned. It did not change. I did not change. They were never my go-tos. Always weak. Never an original impulse. Good luck. If Trump is elected again, blame yourself. No, not for not voting. Of course you did. But that's all you did. Nothing else.